Live for tonight's session. I'm going to be sharing stuff we've never done or never shared on a webcast before tonight. So we're going to have a big old session, and by the end of it, you're going to be able to understand content in a way maybe you've never seen or thought of before. So if you're watching this, yes, I'm really up close and personal, but I will move back, don't worry. I just wanted to say hello. I've had worked on this session for a little while. Please let me know in the chat that you're watching us tonight so that I can say hello to everybody. Hi, Joe. Hi, Maverick, whoever Maverick is tonight. We're going to be going through some stuff that we've never done before in a webcast that we teach in part of our accelerator program, because I thought I'd give you a teaser. Hi, Katie. So do let us know. Hi, Helena. Let us know where you are in the chat, because that'd be really good. If you're watching on LinkedIn, please do us a like or a reaction. If you're watching on YouTube, a thumbs up and a comment. That would really help us. You know what these damn algorithms are like. So if you can do that. Hi, Chris. Hi, Danny. Hi, Doug. So yeah, Dave, Kim. Awesome. We're going to start in 1 minute. You're going to need some notepad and pen for tonight. If you want a copy of the slides, I'll put my email address or our email address on screen here, right there. And you can email us and ask for a copy of the slides. It's probably worth it tonight because there's a lot of slide content to explain things. So let us know where you're from in the chat, and we will crack on in 1 more minute. Hi, Rob. Hi, Stuart. Hi, Florian. And hi, Sadiq. So there's about 40 people watching on YouTube. I'm not sure how many people are watching on LinkedIn, but we will start in a minute. Hi, Paul Butterworth. We'll start in a few minutes' time. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can chat in the comment in the chat, and you can thumbs up and subscribe and all those wonderful things. And if you're watching on LinkedIn, you can follow and like and comment as well. If you're on Facebook, because we're live across about 4 or 5 different social channels, please do follow, like, wherever you're seeing us, please do that. It'd be awesome. Hi, Danielle. Hi, Najib. Hi, Tabitha. Vasco's stalking me today. So let's have a look at tonight's session. So what we're going to do tonight is a little bit different. Hi, Jack. We're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to walk you through some of the principles of how you write solid content that converts and engages people. Very slide heavy tonight, so have notepad and pen ready. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat, and we'll happily answer your questions. So put any questions in the chat wherever you are, and we'll see them and get on with it. So just, if you've never been to one of our sessions before, this is the prettier version of me you can see on screen. This is my profile on LinkedIn. Got me at the best angle, best light, all that kind of stuff. But this is me. If you want to come find me, ask me questions after tonight's session, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, all of that stuff. Just look for somebody who kind of resembles that. And then we will crack on there. So if you want to find me, more than happy. I'm Dean Seddon. I'm the founder of Maverick. And who the hell's Maverick, you may be asking? We're a training, consulting and coaching business. We've been doing it since 2014, when social media was in its youth or infancy. And every month we do sessions like this where over 1,000 businesses, there may be 200-300 businesses and people watching tonight. I'm not sure, but around that, through our Webcast online platform. We've got a learning platform, but we also help and train companies and people as well. So this is us. Everything you get tonight is free. So there's no catch, there's no trick. I'm going to give you the training because we fundamentally believe if we help you, if you get value from what we've got to offer, then when you do need help or a paid service, you'll come talk to us. When you need some advice, you'll come talk to us. And that's what we're really about. So let's crack on with tonight's session. So I want to talk to you first of all, when we're talking about content, I'm talking about social media content, website content, any of those things. Please do check them out. Any kind of content whatsoever. There is something we teach called the content sandwich. The content sandwich. Make a note, content sandwich. This is where you can mix your content. It's really important, and I'll explain why, between what you want to say and what people want to engage with. Often those two things are different. So you want to tell people all about your company and how wonderful you are and how amazing you are and how many awards you've won and all of that stuff. But actually, to some of your audience, to some of your followers on your social media, it can get really boring if you're just talking about yourself all the time. If you've never been to this, by the way, I'm a proper northerner here, so I'm going to tell you like it is, as they say. So if you're promoting all the time, you will be boring. Now, you might think, well, that's okay. I just want to promote. People will get the message. I'll land the message. They'll remember me. But don't forget, with social media, you're also battling with an algorithm, and the algorithm does not like it if you don't get engagement. So there's two types of posts that we're talking about in this content sandwich. Business posts, these are posts that matter to you, and then engagement posts, which are more making you personable, relatable, and more likely to engage your prospects and their industry and things like that. So what's the difference? So a business post could be what we call a value proposition post. A value proposition post. That's where effectively you are not promoting, you're actually showing people why it's a good idea to buy from you. So you're seeding the sale. That's the first one. Then there's a lead generation post, which is where people make an inbound inquiry saying, I want that, which is the pain is like a sales post, promotion post. And then you've got the direct promotion where it's like, we've got a sale on, buy now, buy now, buy now. And then you've got your news about the company and developments and all those kind of things. Then on the other side, we've got engagement posts. So engagement posts are a bit more personal, more industry news. What do I mean by industry news, by the way? When I mean industry news, I mean posts whereby they are relevant to the audience's industries. So if you help manufacturing companies make things or supply things, it's really important that you use industry that's relevant to your audience. If you start talking and sharing things about your industry on there, it might not be even relevant to your customers. So, hi Amy, hi Cassie, hi Dee from Amy. It's early in California for you to be watching tonight. It must be first thing in the morning, I think. We're 9 hours behind. So they're far more personal, more engaging, more interesting, funny, humour, all of those kind of things. And the reason we call it a sandwich is because we alternate. We mix it between the different types so that we keep people chopping it around and moving it around to keep it fresh, keep it different, and not over promote and not get overly funny. So one of the dangers with social media is you create a post that does really, really well. You put it out there and then you go, wow, that one did really well. I got so many views. And then you put another one out there, the same, and you end up a one-trick pony. And I've seen people, and I always use the palm tree tests or the sunset test, whereby you put out posts of sunsets and palm trees and you attract people who love sunsets and palm trees. But when you try and sell something to them, when you try and promote something, they switch off. And so it's really important that you alternate the two. If you over promote, you will kill your audience and you'll have a dead page or a dead profile. And if you go over the top on the engagement stuff, you'll have loads of engagement but no sales, no inquiries. So you need to mix both. So that's the content sandwich. So it's a big principle, really important that you alternate between these two types or two categories of posts. Now let's have a look at some and you can see the difference here. So obviously LinkedIn is my main channel and you can see that a lot of my promotional posts are very direct, very in your face, saying this is what it's about, this is what you can do. Then when we come to my engagement posts, they're very much more casual and more relaxed and more motivational, inspirational, insight, helping people, and sometimes funny as well. Yeah, so you can see the difference. If you go onto my LinkedIn, you'll see the difference as well. So I put up a few different posts. I often put news up that's relevant to my audience, not news that's relevant to me. I don't want to put posts up about content marketing for content marketing industry, because I'm not talking to content marketing professionals. I'm talking to business owners and people who want to grow and use content to sell and promote their services. So they don't really care about the latest trends unless it benefits them. So I might put industry news about how the cybersecurity sector can use content. I might do that, but I would not necessarily go, oh, I'm just going to share news about content for content's sake. This is where you can end up inadvertently, if you don't get your content right, or you're thinking slightly out of alignment, you end up producing content that actually appeals to your competitors. And I'll show you an example of this with hashtags a little bit later. So the content sandwich is really, really important. Now, when we come to some of the business posts, here's a quick way you can break them down and see a different way of producing content. And we call it taste. So you can alternate these between your business posts. Some of them you could actually do as engagement posts as well. But the first one is T, teach and educate. How can you give some information that gives people a light bulb moment, helps them think a bit differently, think a bit broader, think about things in a different way. So it's like an illumination post. Then you've got actionable advice post, 3 questions, 3 tips for this, for that, whatever. But it gives people bite-sized, actionable advice. Now, some of you, when you're struggling with your content, I can tell you one thing that you're doing that's probably making it hard. You're trying to do too much in one piece of content. So you might have some principles you want to lay out and you're trying to communicate them in one fell swoop. What you might want to do is think about it like this. You might have a teach and educate post about the principles, an overview, and then you might go into how they can use each principle and break it down as actionable advice in another post. So teach and educate is the broad principles. Actionable advice is bite-sized things that they can do that will help them. Then you need to show people how you solve their pains. Customers buy because you help them fix something or you help them get to a destination, point A to point B. If you've ever been to any of our sessions, I talk about point A to point B all the time. Show people how you solve pain. So explain to people why they have a problem and how they can fix it and how you can help them fix it. So solve pain. Then we come to testimonials, which is different from the first one of solve pain. This is about giving people examples of how you've done it for somebody else. So think of it a little bit like a before and after that's maybe written or a video, but it's that kind of example of before and after. Trustpilot reviews, any kind of reviews like that where it helps people see the results you can give and the results you can deliver. And then the final one that people struggle with, really struggle with, particularly British people, and lots of people really, but British people generally, is you have to get your personality across. You have to share your views and your way of thinking and your take on things. Sometimes that can feel uncomfortable. Sometimes that can feel like maybe I should, be a bit more diplomatic. Maybe I should not take an opinion. And sometimes that's good. But if you don't express your opinion and your thoughts in the way you do things, you look very bland, very uninteresting. Just whilst we're on this, whilst we're here, sometimes it's really important, well, it's not sometimes, all the time, it's very important that your tone of the way you write, particularly on social media, fits your personality. What do I mean by that? Well, social media isn't like email. Social media isn't like a blog. Social media isn't like a letter. It's a bit more like a conversation. And you need to think about this. Write this down if you've got notepad and pen here. Social media posts should flow more like a conversation rather than formal communication. So conversation rather than formal communication. Because people get to know you through your content. And so you can express how you think and the way you think in those posts. and a slightly more informal tone and informal sentence structure is probably going to help you. Think a bit like, I don't know whether you've ever had to do any kind of public speaking. Now, when you write down your notes for when you do a presentation, or when you do any form of public speaking event where you're presenting information, there's how you write what you're going to say, and then there's how you say what you're going to say. And often what you find is when you're communicating verbally, you speak in shorter sentences. It's far more direct and far more straightforward. So you should be speaking a little bit more like you, posting a little bit more like you would speak it or say it. Does that make sense for everybody? Hopefully you're still awake. So teach and educate, actionable advice, how you solve pain, testimonials and examples, experience your personality, and keep it informal. It's social media. Even when it's a business page, still social media. Have a look at the way some of the major brands now communicate. It's very natural, it's very informal, it's very relational tone. So I'd encourage you to think about doing it as a relational tone. Okay, so any post, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever, there are some fundamental components that will help you. This will work across Instagram, Facebook, all of the channels, but obviously this is primarily designed around LinkedIn. But I want to show you 4 principles about how you should construct a post. 4 principles about how you should construct a post. So number 1 is stopping power, then it's the structure, then it's staying power, and then it's engagement. And some of this advice is specifically for LinkedIn, and some of it will appeal more, will apply more broadly. It's been a long bank holiday weekend, and I feel like today should have been another bank holiday weekend day, or bank holiday. So if I'm a bit slow tonight, that's why. So let's have a look at the first one, stopping power. Remember, whenever you're posting, whatever channel you're on, you're fighting for attention. It's a fight for attention. So number 1, you've got to get people to stop scrolling. Stop scrolling is your number 1 job. If you don't do that, it doesn't matter how good your post is. If people don't stop scrolling, it's all over. So on this post, you can see in the top, the text and the image is creates a lot of curiosity. And I've done something deliberately provocative to get people to go, what's going on? I need to know what this is about. I'm trying to get people to stop scrolling. So the visual, the size of the media, and the first couple of lines are all about getting people's attention to stop them moving past. Now, depending on what social channel you're on, square images work very well. Sometimes you can do longer images or taller images. Why is that important? It's important because the bigger the image, the more you have to scroll to get past it. It's that simple. So the height of the image, if you're doing a video and it's 16:9, it's better to actually do it square because it takes longer to get past it. You've got more real estate, visual real estate to compete with other posts. So visuals, the size of the media, and this final one, anybody who's watched Line of Duty on Sunday night will know about this last one. It's the cliffhanger. Now, maybe not like the end of Line of Duty. I'm not going to spoil it because I know some people haven't watched it yet. But Line of Duty is a TV series in the UK. Every single week there is a cliffhanger where it keeps you on the edge of your seat wanting to know more. If your post explains itself on face value, so in the feed, let me see if I can do this. I'm going to experiment here. And poor camera operator who's watching me now is going to be thrown. So I'll just pull one up. So I'm going to show this on camera and hopefully this will work. So this is my LinkedIn post from earlier today. It's quite bright, so you might not be able to see it, but go look. It's a picture of Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad. And then at the top it says, 5 big questions you should ask yourself especially if you want to grow sales. There, it shows up a little bit. It's quite difficult to see. But on the feed, it becomes very difficult for people to go, what is this all about? So your first job is like the cliffhanger on a TV series. At the end of the episode, at the end of every TV episode you watch, there's a cliffhanger because they want you to watch the next one. On social content, you flip it the other way around, and the teaser is actually at the beginning, so you want to read more. You stop scrolling. So then we come to the structure. Now, some people don't like doing this, but this is the way I found it works and makes it easier to read. So the structure is very short sentences because it sounds more like you're speaking, and also it's easier to scan read on a mobile phone. So there's a flow and a short sentence structure with broken down sentences, not good English, but it's actually a really easy way to read a post from a flow and from keeping your mind's attention, but also to break it down in a way that people can flick through and just see the main points and move on. If you do big long paragraphs, people are more likely to lose their position in the text, and they're also more likely to lose interest because it feels like a heavier piece of content. So the first 2 lines are the teaser that show above the see more. On Facebook, it's actually 3 lines, I think, 3 lines with spaces. But the idea is you keep the first few lines as the teaser, then they click see more or read more or more to read the rest. And that's what keeps them there. And the structure is really important. Now, this is where taste comes in, explaining a story, but also remember you've got to post on a regular basis. So Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, they're posts. You can't just do posts once every blue moon if you want sales and inbound inquiries. It's got to be a consistent volume of posts. So what you should do is think about how can I explain one simple point in one post? One simple thing in one simple post. Dean, hashtags on industry. Okay, so I'll come to hashtags in a second. So structure is really important. And then finally, hashtags. This is where lots of people go wrong. So if you want people to see your post, you should be using the hashtags of your customers, not your industry. Loads of people make this mistake. And they also make the mistake of using totally low volume followed hashtags, whether you're on Instagram, Twitter, wherever. You use the hashtags that your customers are most likely to be following. So for an example, Maverick, we train people how to sell through social media, right? I'm not going to put hashtag sell on social media on my posts. There's no point. Nobody's following it, and anybody who is following it is probably a competitor of some kind. So if I want business people to see my content, if I want business people to see my posts, I'll probably use hashtag business. If I want entrepreneurs to see my post, I'll put hashtag entrepreneurs. If I want marketing people to see my post, I'll put hashtag marketing. I'm never going to use hashtag LinkedIn training. Why? Why do I want to promote my post to LinkedIn training people? Yeah. So think about what hashtags am I using and who follows those. It may take you a little bit of research, but actually if you research it, you'll find you can find customers in like cybersecurity. Yeah. If I want to promote my post to people in cybersecurity, I can put hashtag cybersecurity on it. Really simple, really straightforward. Often it is the most straightforward hashtags that are the best ones for you to do. So if I want cybersecurity, great. If I want to target people in the tech sector, hashtag tech, hashtag technology, they would work. But if I'm talking about how they can use LinkedIn, technology companies can use LinkedIn, I probably wouldn't even bother with hashtag LinkedIn. I'd be using all the technology centered hashtags because I want people in the technology sector to see the post. Does that make sense? Olga's asked, would you recommend then switching to a larger square size, all the posts for LinkedIn B2B company page? We're now using recommended. Olga, I would recommend going to a square format just because it takes more space up in the feed. It'll also make your videos a bit bigger to see on the screen. And of course, that is the trend now to do square content. The other thing I would think about, Olga, is PDFs do very, very well on LinkedIn. D, I would encourage you, D's just asked, should we use hashtags on all social media? Yes. Now, different platforms will say different things about the number. So LinkedIn only indexes 3 hashtags. So you can put as many as you want, but it's only the first 3 that's actually indexed. So when you post on LinkedIn and you put your hashtags on, go have a look at your post URL and you'll see the hashtags are indexed in the URL. So really focus on the first 3. Instagram, it's a debate on there whether it's 3, whether it's 9, whether it's 10. It used to be 30. It's no longer 30. But I wouldn't look to put too many on because it doesn't look good either. Victoria H, no, there will be no line of duty spoilers. So structure, reminder, breakdown, keep the teaser lines at the top, and hashtags of the industry. Hashtags of the industry, not just hashtags of the customers, not the industry that you're in. Now the next one is staying power. So this is different based on the different channels, but the principle is the same. So on LinkedIn, to trigger a view, you have to get somebody to stay on your post for more than 3 seconds. So this is where that see more bit at the top, where we have to get people to click see more to read more, and the visual, video, PDF, whatever it is, slideshow, so carousel if you're on Facebook, or multiple images. This is where it really helps you if you can get people to stay longer than the average or the minimum. So on LinkedIn, it's a minimum of 3, but what you found is if you can keep people for 10 seconds, the algorithm loves it. Now that's slightly different on Facebook and it's slightly different on Instagram and Twitter, but you've got to get people to dwell, to stay on your post. So longer copy, videos, PDFs on LinkedIn that work very, very well. Polls on LinkedIn work very well. And the thing is, more views equals more views. So for an example, maybe I'll share it in a second. I put a post up a couple of hours ago, and because the dwell time on the video is on the post is high, it went up like a rocket. The engagement was low, but the views went up like a rocket. Most social media platforms measure the quality of a post, and this is where your version of quality and social media's version of quality conflict probably. So social media generally measures the quality of a post by how many likes, how many comments, and the dwell time. Now, notice I didn't say shares. And the reason I didn't say shares is because on LinkedIn doesn't seem to like shares. Facebook's a bit different. Retweets on Twitter are a little bit different. But generally speaking, it's likes, comments, and dwell time. In other words, staying power, how long people stay on the posts. Does that make sense for everybody? Hopefully you're not fast asleep. So long copy, PDFs, videos, keep people spending time with you. It's really important. Now, generally, all social media has this kind of inbuilt confirmation bias. So if people like or comment on your posts, if people spend more than the average on your posts, they will probably get a preference to see you in the future on their feed. So for an example, if you come and find my LinkedIn, you go to my top article or my Harlequin post today, and you like and comment on that right now, you'll find that somewhere on LinkedIn, I'll pop up again for the next 48, 72 hours. And so there's this inbuilt bias in social media that if you like, comment, or spend time on any post, they'll show you more of that. Why is that? Well, it's done that way because if Facebook, LinkedIn, whoever wants to make money from your eyeballs advertising, they need to keep you on the platform longer. So what they do is they preference things that you engage with. So it's really important when we come to those engagement posts that you get the likes and comments, it's really important that you use those to get the crowd the right crowd, but get the crowd, get them engaging with you, interacting with you, so that the algorithm goes, all these people like Dean's posts, all these people like Maverick's posts. Let's make sure they see Maverick for the next few days. Now, if they keep engaging with you, they'll keep seeing you. That's why sometimes it feels like some people have fell off the face of the earth, and you go, where have they gone? Well, they haven't gone anywhere. It's just the algorithms realise you haven't liked any of their posts for a while, so they don't see you anymore. So it's really important that you're consistent and you make this plan to have your content sandwich, the things that people will enjoy and get value from and engage with, as well as the more promotional stuff that you want to put out to get your name and your product and your service out there. So engagement does really matter. On LinkedIn, it's the first 2 hours that really determines success. So if you get engagement in the first 2 hours, likes and comments, it will go up really well and it will get distributed so more people see it if it does well in the first 2 hours. All social media is a bit different, but generally in the first few hours, they're looking at it and assessing its quality to decide how far it gets out there. Now, so if you want more engagement, ask more questions in your post. If you want more engagement, think about the emotions involved in your post. Even if it's B2B, there will be emotions involved in the post. How can you bring people's emotions into it? How can you ask them, how does it feel? One quick tip, ask lots of double questions. Sometimes what we do is we ask a question and we don't get people to think. So they read the question, but they don't think about the question. So when you ask double questions, so a question, then another question about the same point, but maybe from a slightly different perspective, it forces people to internalize what you're saying. And so they think about it a little bit more. One, it keeps people on the post longer. And two, they're more likely to comment, like, or engage in some way. So the first 2 hours on LinkedIn really matter, but generally on social media, it's the first few hours that really determines the reach and the potential of the post. So it's highly important you focus in on how are we going to get people to engage on each post. Media, some marketing people are going to fall out with me now. People can spot stock imagery. Yeah, so if you're using stock imagery, you need to think again. Very often, people will engage with more human imagery that looks like it's been shot on a phone or taken by yourself. It's really strange. It's like a humanizing of content. So if you're getting really stocky looking images, you know, the cheesy ones with people on a phone going, stop. Make more common. See if you can do them yourself. Even if they look a little bit not quite as good as stock in terms of quality, people will engage with them more. So avoid stock. You don't always have to use an image that directly supports your point. It could be like a metaphorical image. So sometimes I'll use a GIF, and I'll use a GIF from a movie or from a clip or something that adds to the point, but still is a bit obscure, so that people go, what's this about? And wants to know more. This is where the marketing people really fall out with me. The more corporate your stuff looks, the less engagement it gets. So sometimes yes, you have to brand things sometimes, but actually mixing it up if you can will actually help. Think about it like this. If all your stuff looks the same, people might confuse it as I've seen that already and move on. If all your stuff looks the same, people might confuse it's the same thing, or they'll think you only talk about the same things over and over again, just because the visuals look the same. You know, don't judge a book by its cover is a famous saying, but it's actually one of the biggest traits of human beings that we judge books by their cover. We judge social media posts by the first things we see. First appearances really matter. So all of these things factor into your post, and if the first thing they see is it looks all corporate, you are going to struggle to get the reach and engagement. If you do very, very corporate, high quality stuff, brilliant, but you've really got to work a lot harder because everybody can now spot what's professionally done and go, there's going to be some kind of promo in this. It's going to be a promo. D. Newton, what do I think of campaign marketing? I think any kind of marketing, it works, but I think you can humanize it more. And Lydia's kind of added to this point of, is this why TikTok's so popular? TikTok's so popular because we want to see what other people are doing. We want to see what other things are going on in the world. We want to see out and be entertained and amused and interested. And that's why so many people are engaging with things on TikTok and Clubhouse for that matter. Clubhouse is very similar in that it's audio, so it's a different experience, but also you're hearing from people. You're hearing people talk in real time. You can go on there and listen to very famous entrepreneurs. You can listen to Richard Branson and people like that just talking. That's the allure of all of these platforms. It's the humanization. It's sociable. You can get close to people. You can interact with people who maybe you couldn't interact with before. So more human visuals, TikTok, for an example, seem to do really, really well. And often what you find is unless you're slick production that you've made, got TV production or whatever, if you do that and you don't engage people as human beings, if you don't engage their emotions and interest them and keep them hooked and interested, you just look like a promo. Najib's asked, is there a ratio? There is a ratio, but it's different on lots of different channels, and it depends on whether it's company or personal profile. But there's an engagement rate, and that's based on views. So most social media channels, they're all a little bit different, but what they're measuring is the engagement rate to the number of views. So the percentage of engagement to the number of views. And then it keeps track of that view to engagement ratio all the way through the life of the post, but the first couple of hours is where it really matters. So for an example, on this video tonight, because you're all commenting wherever you are, this is why we do them on social media, wherever you're commenting, this video will have a massive engagement rate compared to views because lots of people are asking questions. So sometimes live videos are really good for helping you boost your engagement, which helps get more visibility. Did we have any other questions? Campaign marketing. I think it works, but I think you have to mix it all up, humanize it as you go. I think that's really, really important. So I would answer and say the personal profile on LinkedIn, on all social media actually, is more powerful than anything that the company page can do. However, the company page will gather followers, and it's important that you use your company page from a credibility point of view, because what happens on all social media all the time, people go from a profile to a page and they check out everything. The proper buyers, the proper decision makers won't just stop at your profile. They'll actually dig in and look at everybody else. Lydia, how do you work with corporate branding constraints? I think corporate branding constraints are going to be tested for the next 4 or 5 years, because I think this tendency to lock everything, that everything looks the same, will be unpicked. And I think a lot of major brands are rethinking this now. But I think what you need to do is think about, is there we call it a lower thirds. Maybe one of the guys can put up on screen now something at like a banner at the bottom, so I can show people what I mean. A caption or something like that. So our email address, if we put our email address up, right? So imagine Lydia, you've got a branded piece of content. You do something like this that you can see on screen that's about here, that's got your brand, but everything else could be different. So maybe you have a strip down the bottom with your branding, but everything else above is different or defies the branding conventions. What you find is the more you deviate from the branding conventions, the more views you get. So in one example, I did this with a group of people. We ran a group of people running their personal profiles against a company page, and the people got 1.9 million views, and the company page in the same period got about 300,000 views. So the people can massively outperform the pages, but you need the pages from a credibility point of view. Jack's asked, Jack, so I've said in previously, don't just randomly connect with people. Correct. Don't randomly connect with people. So some people will just go nuts, connect. Jack, what I'd say is you need to, if you want particular people and particular companies to see your posts, build relationships, interact with them and connect, but don't just go bang, 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 bang. LinkedIn's brought in a new restriction for people who are aggressively connecting to stop you from doing it. So they used to ban you, and they still have that, but now what they do is they throttle you if you're not interacting with the people that you're connecting with before you connect. So Jack, for an example, if we're not connected and we've never had any interactions, and you send me a connection request and there's no interaction, LinkedIn's going, we maybe need to keep an eye on Jack. And if there's a pattern of that, they will throttle you. In other words, they'll say, you've reached a limit this week. However, if you're interacting with people, that limit is a much further off place, but it's also less likely to appear. Tabitha, personal profiles, hands down, but you need the company profiles or the corporate ones from a credibility point of view. So they're the two. So personal is always going to perform better, but you need the company profile from a credibility point of view. So finally, hashtags, remember, use the ones that matter to your customers so they get indexed. Try to avoid the ones where there's nobody following. So search them, just put them in a search bar and see how many's following on the platform. Try to avoid the small hashtags unless you're going for something really niche and really specific. And I've got some examples here. Marketing's mostly followed by marketing professionals. Supermarkets followed by people who are involved in supermarkets. LinkedIn training is mostly followed by people who do LinkedIn training. So I would never use LinkedIn training because I don't want to promote my content to my competitors. That's just the kind of way it rolls. So are there any other questions? Wow, I went through that really fast. No wonder I need a cold drink now. Is there any other questions? That all makes sense. Would anybody like me to go through anything else? How you can get these posts in front of your connections without... so one of the quick ways you can get your content in front of your connections, and actually in our accelerator, maybe I can flick through this. We actually show you how you can do this so you can get specific companies to look through your posts. And we have a process that we do it with LinkedIn. And the key thing is to be connecting with the right people, but then it's to seed your value proposition with the content. So value proposition, you seed your value proposition through the content. Now most people go, what do you mean by that? Well, think about it like this. For somebody to show interest in your post, and it's about your business, you have to show them that you understand a problem that they have. You have to show them that you can solve something that they're living with. And so the value proposition posts that we teach people, they actually generate lots of inbound leads, lots of interest, is can you articulate the challenges your customers face that you fix? Not promote. Can you articulate and explain why those problems happen in posts? And if you do that, you will gather them. If there's specific companies you want to see your post, that's when you have to really have a very smart and slick connection and relationship building strategy so that you can end up and go, actually, I want to do business with HSBC. Okay, I've understood what HSBC's challenges are. I now get them in detail and now going to start to write posts, not specifically mentioning HSBC, but explaining how HSBC have this issue and how they can diagnose it, how they can fix it without selling myself. And then I would have a smart connection and relationship building strategy on the other side, growing my network within HSBC, particularly with the places where the decision makers are. Stuart, so what Stuart, I know Stuart, so he'll forgive me for being a bit brutal because I see a lot of people in the health space, not Stuart per se, but I see a lot of people in the health space really messing this up on LinkedIn. So what they do is they put loads of pictures of their amazing abs and then posing and then doing the moody shots, like, you know, all of that kind of stuff. You know, the shots I mean? or they show completely unrealistic before and afters. So, Stuart, I'll come to your question in a minute, but it's really important. I would look at, Stuart, people, for an example, sharing stuff of why people struggle with their fitness when they're leading a business and do it that way round. So I'd really think about making sure that whatever visuals you're using, they're believable for the average customer. So health and fitness do this terribly. They put amazing shots of the abs and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, LinkedIn's a very mature platform. It's a bit more mature than Facebook. It's a bit more discerning than Facebook. And so you put unrealistic images on there and people go, that's not me. And they discount your content. Whereas if you talk about something a bit more like a sensible goal, optimum but sensible, people are more likely to engage. D. Newton, don't look at our website, lol. Okay, so Stuart asked, how do I find connections? Where would be the best place to find my connections through the search tab, groups or hashtags? So Stuart, I would be focusing on the hashtags, number one. So what are the roles whereby there's lots of heavy desk jobs? Yeah. So think about what's the heavy desk job. So finance is going to be one of them. So you could use the finance hashtag to target senior executives who want to get fit and in shape. That would be a good one. You could target entrepreneurship because that's more people who are go-getting business people and maybe their work-life balance is out of sync, so they're eating badly. But then when you come to searching for people, here's a quick search feature you could do if you've got Sales Navigator, Stuart. You could search for managing directors who've possibly been in their role for, say, 5, 6, 10 years. Why is that? Well, generally, the longer you've been in a role, yeah, just like a bit like marriage, the longer you've been in a role, the longer you've been in a particular scenario, the more you're likely to let things slip, the more you're likely to become complacent and it doesn't matter so much. So I would think about targeting business managing directors, say senior executives who've been in their role for maybe 6 to 10 years. It actually puts them at the older end of their career ladder as well, particularly if they're senior. So you end up with a situation where you've got people who've been in their roles for a long time, people who are generally a bit older, and so naturally people who are a bit older struggle to keep fit as much as, say, a 30-something or a 20-something. Anybody else got any questions? I feel like I've gone really fast tonight, so apologies if I've gone fast. Just whilst I'm here, if I have gone fast, if you want to email us, I'll put the email, the email's on screen. There's a conversation in the chat here about people suddenly realizing how much stock they're using on their websites. That's for a conversation for another time, but it is a valid point. So, number one, if I've gone through this bit quick and you go, I'd love to get the video, I'd love to get a copy of the slides, please email us. Let me get it right. There. I'm getting good at this now. It's there. Just drop us an email and say, I was on the webinar last night. Can I have a copy of the replay and the slides? And we'll happily share it with you. Just whilst we're there, if you're struggling to think about the challenges, the value proposition post, we can share a worksheet with you that will help you understand your value proposition a little bit better. So just email us and ask us for that. I'm going to try and do it again now. There. I'm getting really good at this. That would be good. Jack, so I use news posts as engagement posts to break things up. Let me show you the news post. Hopefully this will work. Just bear with me while I log into my LinkedIn. And I'll show you on screen. I'll just get to my profile first. So when I'm on my LinkedIn, and feel free to come and send me a connection request or what have you. So you can see here today, the post I put up earlier, I've had 11,239 views. So let's have a look where it's up. So 11,000 views, 3 hours old. So this post is 3 hours old. So number one, what have I done? I've used the content sandwich consistently. I've been posting consistently. Never underestimate the power of consistency. So I've been posting consistently, but I've also shown a bit of my personality and asked a question and used hashtags. Now, I've used a little sneaky strategy here as well, but I'm not going to share that with you just today. So maybe you email me and ask me what's the sneaky strategy, and I'll send you a video because it's too complicated for now. So why has this post got 11,240 views in 3 hours with 14 likes and 14 comments? So the reason is that the stopping power and the staying power has done the work for me. Now, the magic trio is stopping, staying, and engagement. You get all three in good quantities and you have a viral post. But if you get 2 out of 3, you'll actually have a solid post. So engagement and stopping power is good. But I've really gone for staying power here. I've got the dwell time really high because people are reading it. So I've got high dwell time, which gets me the views. More views, get views equals more views. The more views you get, the more dwell time you get, the more views you get. So it's a really smart strategy. Stopping power, staying power, engagement. Those three, obviously with the right structure, questions and all those things, will actually get you lots and lots of views. And this one did 11,000 views in 3 hours. So when you come to your personal profile, you can really leverage thousands of people every day seeing you, sowing your message out there. Now, not every post I do goes well like this. Sometimes I write one and it's a bomb. Sometimes they're awful. But you'll learn what works and you'll get better at it. Big problem people have, huge problem, is because they're not doing it consistently, they're not posting consistently, they don't learn what works. So I tell you now, if you said and made a commitment that every working day you were going to post on your personal LinkedIn profile, by the end of 2 weeks, you would know exactly what your audience love, you'd know exactly what messaging to use, and you'd be able to leverage it. And it is that simple. If you know, the amount of people who say, oh, it's quality versus quantity, I want to swear saying that, because it's not, you don't know what's quality. Yeah. Well, how do we define quality? We define quality by the results it brings for us. Yeah. So in other words, are we getting the right people seeing us because of that post? If that's good, and if they're remembering our name for the right reasons, that's a quality post. Yeah. A quality post is just not how good it's written. A quality post is how it performs. And sometimes we can get lost in quality versus quantity. No, you want both. But actually, you need to learn to write quality and produce quality all the time. You can only do that by learning. It's an instinctive skill that you can learn. And it is a skill you can learn, but the easiest way to learn it is to do it, make the mistakes, and then you'll be able to repeat what works and refine what works, and you get better and better and better and better. Oh, Ali's asking a question about automation tools. LinkedIn is against automation tools, but there is a very well-known way of cheating almost, or getting your posts off the ground. They're called pods. They do work. Some people absolutely hate them because it's cheating, and it is cheating a little bit because you're gaming to the algorithm. But it does get you off the ground with your posts. So if you want to know more, we have a little WhatsApp group you can use. There's a few people in there and they support each other's posts. It's not a paid thing, you just use it. If you want to do it, just message us. I'll send you the link, we'll send you the link, use it. It does not substitute you doing all of the things to build your own crowd, but it will kickstart it. It will make it easier for you to get going. And that's really what it's about. Who's just at? How do you rebuild it? So Kim, if you're trying to rebuild your network, it takes some time. It takes time to spin it round. Don't just do a purge. You need to reactivate your network. Sometimes, you can accumulate. Let's say I went inactive on LinkedIn for 3 months. Yeah, I would have an uphill struggle to build that engagement back. It would be a fight. And so what I'm saying to you with this is, once you get it, don't let it go. Yeah, don't let it go. And it can disappear from you in a couple of days. You can lose that flow just because of engagement and dwell time. So you need to work it and build it and make it happen. Tabitha, the easiest way to track, there's loads of stuff. So I'm going to say, I have a little rant here, right? And this is where some of the marketing people will fall out with me. You need the most simplest analytics you can follow. There's so many analytical tools that I bet you sign up for and you never actually look at ever again. And you probably don't need to interpret ever again. So I would look at, when you're publishing a post, what's the views, what's the engagement, and were the right people engaging or were the right people viewing? And you can do that on LinkedIn. It's a bit harder on some of the other social channels, but that's the easiest thing to do. Keep it simple. The more complicated you get, the harder it'll be to manage. So that's the way I do it. Keep it really straightforward. Look at the post. Why did this resonate? Who viewed it? Who engaged with it? And that's how I rate what's good. When we get to the value proposition posts and I use them, one of the key metrics you can go is, did that spike higher than other posts? Because value proposition posts generally do if you're connected with an audience like that. And then you can assess, did I get any inbound message conversations from it? And that's another way to do it. So in our accelerator, we actually teach people how to write these posts that generate inbound. So that's how we do it. And that's how I do it. Keep it really simple. Spreadsheet. This is the post. This is the link to the post. This is the views. This is the likes. This is the comments. And just build that up. And then you can go back at the end of the week and go, why did that one do so well? Maybe it was this, maybe it was that. And then you can try it and improve on it and tweak it. But you're instinctively learning. So just to wrap up, if anybody, some of you have bought a strategy session off the back of this. Some of you bought the book off the back of this. We'll send you the links. If you want to buy the book, you can get it on our website or on Amazon. But also, if you want to know more about how we can help you implement this and how you can use content to sell and get inbound activity and convince people you're the right choice to do business with, please drop us a line. We'll jump on a call. We'll explain it. If it's for you, great. If it's not, just go implement what you've learned from us. Come to our free stuff. That's absolutely cool. But if you want any of the resources from tonight, I'm going to try again. Drop us an email here and we'll send you all the details, the replays, all that kind of stuff. And if you want to have a chat with us, email us and say, I'd love to have a chat. There's going to be no pressure from us. That's not how we work. Finally, I'm going to sign off and say thank you for watching. Please do me a favor. If you've enjoyed this, go rant and rave a little bit on social media, like, subscribe, blah, 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 all that stuff, ring the bell, all the stuff that we need to ask people to do. Please go do that. If you find us on Google, Trustpilot, give us a review. That'd be really appreciated. But other than that, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to have a cold drink and say thank you for watching. We're back next week, I believe, with Mastering Digital Sales, which is a whole workshop on how you can use digital channels to sell, some of the principles. Sign up on Eventbrite, LinkedIn, wherever else, website, and we'll see you